Hannah, this is Piles of Books, and today we're going to be talking about some of my favorite vintage children's anthologies. Okay, so I've just got a few anthologies to share with you here today. These are vintage collections of books or book sets. We use these a lot in just reading, to my kids in our home, but also in our homeschool. So I wanted to give you a glimpse inside of some of these books and the differences between some of the different anthologies, and then also some practical ideas on how to use them, because when I started buying these, they look really pretty on the shelf, but for some reason I kind of had a mental block about using them. I wasn't sure how to use them, and I would look for ideas online, and it was just kind of hard to pinpoint different things. So I am going to turn the camera around, and I'm going to show you inside of some of these and talk about them a little bit, and like I said, give you some ideas for using them in your own home. So the first set we have today are these Best in Children's books by Nelson Doubleday Incorporated. These, I don't have this whole set. I just grab them kind of as I see them inexpensively. We have really enjoyed these. These are a thinner book. They don't have as many stories in them as some of the other sets that I was going to show you. But this is just, there's some poems in here. There are some fairy tales and children's stories. There are also, this is neat here. This Go Fly a Kite. So there are some actual projects, teaches you how to make a kite and fly it. There are some stories that have real photographs in them. It's like this, Saltwater Zoos. So this is all about aquariums, and it's got real photographs in it. My kids are playing outside and talking, so you might hear a little bit of that. Anyway, these ones are pretty fun, and on the back of them, they show all of the stories that are in that one book. So this one here, this has a Bible story in it, the wonderful story of Moses, Snip, Snap, Stir, and the Buttered Bread. This is an actual book, so I think that's what I was going to say. There are some actual children's books that they've put in here. I know Angus and the Ducks is one of them, if you are familiar with that story. And then I saw the science portion of this book is experimenting with electricity. So those are fun. We have enjoyed them. I think we've read out of these. We haven't read a ton out of these. We've done some, but I have found that my kids like to look at them on their own, and then my 8-year-old and my 6-year-old enjoy reading them on their own. I don't know why. This isn't something that we really grab for read-alouds very often, but they do enjoy looking through them on their own. The next set I have to show you today is the My Book House set. So I've got two different editions here. This is I believe they call it the Rainbow Edition. It's from the 70s. Whoops, sorry. And it lines up on the shelf really nicely. This is the first one in that set. It's called In the Nursery. So it is just filled with, again, nursery rhymes and short stories for the youngest children. We have really enjoyed this set a lot. The illustrations are so cute. There's a lot of color illustrations, but then some black and white illustrations as well. This is one that my youngest two kids, if I say, okay, go grab a book and let's read a story together, for school or even just, at nap time or something. This is one that they tend to grab a lot. And then what I like about this set is that it's graded. So each book kind of goes up in difficulty. So once you get to the higher books, there are less illustrations and the stories are longer and, more history stories or science or something like that. So this is a really good example of that. Here is the blue set in the nursery. So it's very similar. A lot of them are pretty much the same as the rainbow set, but there are some differences. So this is number 11. It is, like I said, just a bit more advanced. So there are 12 books in this set, And so this is almost to the top, but like The Surprising Adventures of Don Quixote of La Mancha is this story. And then there are some history stories. I think, is this maybe Robin Hood? I believe this is Robin Hood. I think Ivanhoe is in here. So these are just, stories more for older kids. This is another graded set. What's this one called? The Children's Hour. So I've gotten book number 1 here and book number 16 here. So I just kind of wanted to show you again the difference in the story level, the reading level. So this is again just for younger kids. However, these stories are definitely longer. These are not like the My Book House. You could sit with a fairly young child and read most of that. The ones in here, they are enjoyable, cute little stories, but they are, like a toddler is probably not going to sit and listen to most of these. So the illustrations are, again, they're very cute. Oh, like this is Curious George. So there are some actual children's books put into these as well. Oh, see, Angus and the Ducks. That one's in this one too. I didn't realize that. Minnie the Mermaid. So just some very sweet stories again. I don't know this one. It doesn't have nearly as many poems and nursery rhymes, which is something that I think is, super important for kids. So here, of course, is Winnie the Pooh. So we have enjoyed this set, but not as much, I think, as some of the others. We have not read a lot through here. Like, look at this. I mean, just the print is smaller for sure. It's definitely for older kids. This is number 16. So this is the last one in this. And so definitely, I don't know that I've looked at this one at all. The Star Ducks. Interesting. But it's, what did it say? Science fiction. So definitely, yeah, for older kids, even like upper middle grade or younger high school probably would enjoy something like this. This will look like Mary Poppins. I wonder if that's what it is. Yeah, I haven't really looked at this one much at all. Nope, it's H.G. Wells. And then at the back of this book, there's a guide for reading as well, different things about the authors and the editors and all of that. Just a fun story about these. I actually have considered selling these just because we don't read through them a lot, but it is kind of a fun story. So our house that we live in currently, we just moved in here about 6 months ago, but the man who owned this house, he didn't live here, but he had some family that lived here back a long time ago. Anyway, he passed away. I don't know if that was maybe 2 or even maybe 3 years ago. I'm not sure. But anyway, his children sold a lot of stuff at an auction, and they had just tables full of books. And I got quite a few books that day. And this was one of the sets of books. So I thought that was kind of fun. These books, they never were here. Like I said, he didn't live here. His kids didn't live here or anything. But it is just kind of fun to see kind of how, things have come full circle. Obviously, we definitely live in a small rural area where something like that would happen. But anyway, so I think I'll probably keep these mostly for sentimental reasons. I think it's a fun story. And now going through here, I definitely need to probably be more intentional about this set and try to read more in here as well. The next one is, this is the Collier's Junior Classics, Young Folks Shelf of Books. So I didn't count how many. I want to say that there's 12 in this set as well. This is number 6, Harvest of Holidays. So these books are, they're maybe graded some, but I wouldn't say so much as many of the other anthologies. This one is just more categorized. So this is all stories about holidays. There's some for Memorial Day, Mother's Day, Easter. This is a story that we have enjoyed each Easter. The last few years we've read this cute story, The Country Bunny and the Little Gold Shoes. There are some poems in here, but again, not as many as some of the, like the My Book House, or another set that I'm going to show you, Bookshelf for Boys and Girls. So yeah, anyway, there's Flag Day and Arbor Day, Columbus Day, United Nations Day. There's just quite, it's definitely not just like the big holidays, but also some less, less celebrated or less well-known holidays. Book Week, Christmas, of course, Hanukkah, Thanksgiving. So this is one that I think of all the books in this set, like that my kids and I have read together, this Harvest of Holidays has been the most popular, although I do know that my son has read some of the others on his own, and then again, just there's a lot of illustrations, so my younger kids like to look through the books for the illustrations just by themselves. And the last set that I have to share today is Boys and Girls Bookshelf. I think the later editions of this were called the Bookshelf for Boys and Girls. This set is from 1912. I think this is the oldest one. Actually, maybe not. There might be an older edition even than this, but this one is definitely more fragile, I would say. So the papers are glossy and thinner. And the font is smaller. They're almost all of the illustrations. So like these are photographs, but there are some, like this is neat. Actual like old, paintings, prints of paintings, copies. Anyway, this one is called, what is this one? Historic Tales and Golden Deeds. So this is one for older kids. This is the first one, and it is called Fun and Thought for Little Folk. So there's a lot of nursery rhymes and poetry in here. Again, the black and white illustrations in this are absolutely charming. This is one of the reasons we haven't loved these as much as some of the others, but the illustrations are so beautiful, and I do think that they are really nice books. We just haven't read through them as much. This is one part of these books that I really like. I've gone through a lot of these with my kids if maybe we're studying Italy or something for some reason in school. There's just, a few paragraphs of of a child in Italy, and so we might read that, and that's always fun. Germany, Holland, there's quite a few of them. And then, of course, just some, like I said, nursery rhymes and poems. I think this one also has some finger plays, maybe. Where was that? At the beginning, I think? Yeah. So we enjoyed those when my oldest two were a lot younger. We liked those. I haven't done them as much with my youngest two, sadly, but anyway, so that is that set. Okay, so there you have it. Those are some of my favorite vintage children's anthologies. So I have really enjoyed using them a lot with my kids. Of course, you can just sit down and read them, but I have become more relaxed in that way. I can just sit down and just read them to my kids. When I first started buying them, I definitely had more of a utilitarian mindset when it came to education and books and all of that. So I wanted to, do it right and get the most out of these books and all of that. And they have worked really well as part of school, but we have used them less and less in our school routine and have just started using them more and more as just read aloud books. I have a love-hate relationship with picture books, so sometimes I'll just put most of our picture books away because I'm overwhelmed by them, or I don't, just different things. And we will read a lot out of all of those anthologies that I just shared with you. So I definitely do think that, if you were limited in space, if you were living in a really small house, or you sold everything and you were going to be living in an RV for 2 years, traveling the country or something like that, you could buy an anthology like one of those that I showed you, and you would have plenty, to read with your kids. The stories just never get old. I mean, those stories were picked because of their longevity, and that they have stood the test of time in our house. I mean, just keep going back to the stories. It seems like my kids never get tired of them, even if we've read them 20 times in the last 2 months. They are fun. A lot of times they're educational. They share good morals and values, and they're stories that are good role models for my kids. And just the nursery rhymes and the poetry is so good for them. And anyway, so I think there's a lot to love when it comes to the anthologies, but they can be kind of difficult to know how to use. So my kids are going in and out. So one of the things that I have, like if I'm stuck and I don't know how to use them, I will just look at our school schedule. We don't really do like family style schooling anymore, but we follow Ambleside Online. So like currently I have a child in year 3 and he is reading about Queen Elizabeth I. So I would probably just go through and choose, some stories that are from that time frame or are about her or something, and write those page numbers down and give him the list, and he can read them, on his free time. He's not going to have to narrate them or anything, but it is just another way to use those books. And then of course, like with the holidays one, I'm not really one to have like an activity for every holiday or anything like that anymore. I used to be that way, but not anymore. Anyway, so we might just, I'm like, oh, today's Arbor Day. Let's read something about Arbor Day, and I can just open up the Harvest of Holidays and read a short story or a poem or something about Arbor Day. We can draw a picture, and I will feel like we've done something, and it was enjoyable because those stories are really fun. So, that's another way to use them. The Well Educated Heart website, I'll try to leave that linked below. Marlene Peterson from the Well Educated Heart, she has like a history timeline and then science, not a timeline, but like science categories to go with each month with her history timeline through the school year. And she uses the Collier's Junior Classics and the Rainbow set of My Book House. And so she's gone through and placed, all the stories and everything in the different months that go along with her curriculum. It's not really a curriculum, but anyway, that has been really helpful. We have followed that at different times. And then of course, like, I think you could really just use them for your child's education. You would have to supplement, obviously, like with some of the older ones, like the one from 1912, you would have to supplement 100 years worth of like history and science and all of that. But I mean, you could definitely use them as a spine or a core curriculum book sort of thing. Is definitely would be a great way to use them. But my favorite way to use them is just to read them. We really have loved getting to know like less well-known fairy tales and mythology and folklore and nursery rhymes and just all of that through these books. It has exposed us to a lot of things that I find to be really valuable and I want to share with my kids, but I didn't really know where to start. So just reading them is a great way to get them in as well. So thank you very much for being here today. I'm glad that you stopped by to listen to me talk about these vintage children's anthologies. If you have, there are way more out there than just the ones that I have. And we've had different ones that, maybe I've bought and then resold because we just weren't getting, as much out of them. We weren't reading them as much. My kids weren't drawn to them for whatever reason. But these ones are definitely the ones that they have lasted the longest in my house. We have enjoyed them the most. So if you have some that I did not share here today, but that you could recommend to me, I would love to know about that in the comments below. And again, thank you for being here. We will see you in the next video.